So as we move along with the steering wheel, we got the horn cover, we've got the where it fastens on and marries to the column, and then we're making the wood. So you got to have your horn button or your horn logo, and so my son Cameron has been playing around with ideas, and he came up with this idea. This is the Chrysler Blue Ribbon. It matches the back in original. I'm looking for it here. So on the brass that goes on the dash, there's the blue ribbon in the center, and that's part of the 1930s theme. So that's just scaled up. In this case, it's AKK, right? It kind of goes along with the theme in the car. The seats are done with that. The racetrack around the headliner, and then this will go into the steering wheel. And so what I've done, he came up with the final design. It's a beautiful design. And then I'm just progressively working on it. This is probably more similar. I didn't have lightning bolts, I don't think, in my original one. It was just kind of a pretty plain ribbon with relief cuts. And then he embossed everything and then put a border on it and some extra detail. It really looks good. So I came in and added color. I guess against that yellow background, but that's the olive green. That's part of the theme. The gold. It's really glitter. That's glitter, but it's really vibrant right now. It's gonna bury down a little bit. That's kind of a black chrome, and then the border is black. But that'll all get buried now in epoxy, this clear epoxy, and then to a smooth finish, kind of like very similar to a steering wheel button on your car, right? So that's where this project is going, and then that's carrying out right now. But it's just painted on. Oh, I thought I had it. Yeah, it's just painted on, and it'll cure out, and we'll cover it and put it on the steering wheel horn button. Hey guys, it's been a little while since we've talked in my timeline. So this is the color of the car. Kind of looks gloss black with a little green hue to it, but as I rotate it up, you can start to see it's loaded with pearl, green and gold pearl, to give that color flop. We'll go under there. It's a cloudy day, so get under there. There, you can see it pretty good. Okay, so, and that's what I was trying to achieve. Something olive, but in the dark range to show off the bodywork. This wasn't a very spectacular clear job. It was just one coat sprayed over the card. But now you can see you got that olive kind of green over a black base, or mixed in actually with the black base. It's not a tri-coat, which is really nice because this will be panel painted, and because it'll be panel painted, you want everything to go together. We tested candies, we tested everything, and came up with that for a solution. The candies would be nice, but panel painting with a candy is very difficult, especially if you've got a couple of guys painting it. And with the number of components involved in this car, you think about the headlight stanchions, the taillight stanchions, all of the pans, all of the doors off of the car hanging, the hood panels, grill, fenders, running boards. There's a lot of pieces to paint to get this done. My son 3D printed the grills. This is a revision from the original just to get them open enough to make sure that they're dissipating or exhausting heat. And they're based on the size of the 3D printer, we could print them in halves. And he's the same gentleman that did this piece here that is finished. And this was done in quadrants in 4 pieces, you know, then bonded together and finished up. And so it'd be the same process here. I'll have to come in with and get these filled with probably epoxy after I pull it off of here. Just get each one of these filled, reposition it, and then sand the whole thing down. In this case, I did break off the end as I was monkeying around, so I'll have to fix that. In any event, then these will be sanded and finished. The other thing that I did is, this is the original hood side, the first hood side that I built, and I had all this done. And over the course of the time I had access to, when I had my fenders on my car and I was working on other things, I stopped and built this panel too. Now everything was cut at the same time, so they're mirror images, right? I just flipped this piece of sheet metal over as compared to that, and when I built the hood. But then anyway, I finished welded this, and then here yesterday, then I finished the bottom piece. This was just unwelded, so I came in. I don't have the body here any longer. It's in paint, or it's at finish, which is, you know, blocking it. Whatever filler it needs, blocking it, and then painting it. So I got this all done. It worked out really well. All I did was made a pattern, taped this off, cut a pattern out, and sticky side up, right? And then made the pattern for that side. So that's done, and I'm into the finer details of the work here, and that's going along well. I'm waiting for this to cure on these panels, but I did continue to polish and had some communication on the sheen. This has got a few layers on it sanded. This has got 4 layers on it sanded with 320 and then chromed. Okay, and waiting for cure. This stuff, when you start to wet sand it, as I was doing it, I had a couple of sags, and so I wet sanded it, the sags out by hand, but eventually you'd get to it would start to peel, right? So I stop, wait a few days, do it again, stop, and so on, until finally I got to the point where I could polish it. So I polished them off, and I don't think that the sheen is, you know, that's flatter than the garnish moldings and all the other interior trim, and that's glossier. And so I'm just going to satin clear the whole works. The satin clear will lock in the chrome bead into the steering wheel. We'll rough these, we'll Scotch Brite these out now that they're flat and wet sanded. And yeah, I took them to 2,000 and then went with the polishing compound, so they're out to about 5,000 now, but it's just too shiny. So I'm going to get them the satin look with automotive clear, because their door handles are going to hit your fingernails scratching on them, you know, all kinds of contact they'll see, and as well as obviously the steering wheel. So that'll put a protective coating on them. There is, when you do this, there is some risk to shrinkage, right? Climate changes, because this material over temperature changes, because this material is softer and remains soft through its life. Does it cure? Yes. I've done a lot of research on this. So I'm going to go another couple of months on these panels to make sure everything is fully cured, to the point that if I put a fingernail on it, I do not leave an impression. Right now, if I put a fingernail on it, it will leave an impression and it will flow out in a couple of days. And so I know I'm not ready. So go a couple of months and let that fully cure out, and then hit it with about the time we'll probably be doing some panel spraying for the car. We'll just hit these with flat or satin clear. So, and other than that, a couple of lessons learned. Of course, I ran the fuel line through all of the fittings, and I very recently pulled the fuel line out of it because I kept leaking at the connections, at the fittings. I'd fix them. I replaced a couple of fittings up here, one here, and then I think one down here at the T for the injector rail. And so I wanted to either go hard line or pull them out. So that's the return line and the supply line. Pulled out. They do run along the rail, along the frame rail in here, but it's boxed up here and back here, and it goes up over the dog leg and through AN fittings, bulkhead fittings. It turns 90 and comes out here and there. If you picked up on it from that shot, you may recall that the return line and the fuel filter, it's a Corvette style fuel filter / return line for the 58 PSI, or regulator, we can call it that. It's regulated within the filter. I'm going to go down to just the supply line at a bulkhead here, substantially reduce the amount of fittings, come off the tank directly into the filter. My return line, supply line, return line, all right there, and that. I'm going to replace these with hard line. In both cases, hard line, coated steel line. And this, I don't know if I'm going to go coated steel or flex. I'll probably go flex on this. And then replace those and all that with PTFE, ethanol rated line. It's killing the O-rings, or the little flat gaskets that go into the fittings when you put the hose fitting together. It starts leaking. So I'm done. Now I start over, be twice the cost. Of course, I got a bunch of rubber fuel line, but don't fall victim to that. After a year, it eats the rubber and they start leaking. So lesson learned. And of course, after research, stay away from aluminum. I got an aluminum tank on my 37, and it sends the white shit up into your fuel filter. And eventually I'll change that out. You know, if I have to change the filter too often, I'll start changing that out. Anything past the filter is going to burn in combustion, but you don't want plugged fuel filters. So that's where I'm at. Haven't fired this thing up for a while because of the other things that I'm working on and getting the car ready to go. So we're moving along. At this time, I've got the hard lines run. Okay, they're run, they're bent, they're formed, they're into the filter / regulator. That's loose because I have to tie that in. The bulkhead connector's in routed. The lines are routed through into the chassis. Now you can see that there's an S here. There's a clamp there, the original clamp. One of the things that cautioned in the instruction manual on this PTFE line, or alcohol rated fuel line, is that you need to have slack in the line to accommodate growth and shrinkage, but expansion and contraction. So I'm not going to have any problems with the fittings, because, as you know, I mentioned earlier, these bulkhead connections, if there's a swivel joint on them, and there typically is, and that's indicated by, see if I can find one. Okay, you can see that hole right there. There's a pin in there, and that allows for this assembly to go together with an O-ring behind it. And in other connectors, that O-ring, or it's probably a flat ring. I don't know. I tried to take one apart, but you can't. They're harder than heck to get apart without the proper tools. But anyway, that rubber is getting eaten. So I've taken the time. I ripped my alternator apart, got him painted brown, got these painted the color match of the hat. You know, it's just got a little more red in it than the original color, so it just offsets it. And I decided to take the alternator bracket, I got to walk around the car here, apart, and I formed it around here, because that's the farthest that alternator can go up before the positive starts interfering with the valve cover. And so I formed it. It's just a much better look than a flag hanging up there. All these components are powder coated. This is mounted. I mounted this, and I actually made the ferrule that will insert in here and notch in for the hood cable. I constructed the hood cable. I don't have that here, but I'm also going through and making hard lines, coated lines for the transmission. I didn't like how close the lines I had came to the exhaust, so I'm coming down and off of the fitting here and getting down underneath the pan. In both cases, the rear one is right here, and I'm turning right away. I just don't want any problems. So as I'm going through and kind of doing all the final steps on it, I'm just getting things in the state that they're in for final assembly. So yeah, there's some redone fabrication, but it's all in the interest of quality. So and you gotta, you know, when you're building something like this, you do one step and then you start to add the rest of the components, the exhaust, whatever it is that you're adding to it, and you wind up having interferences and stuff that require you to make changes. So I've got all that accomplished, and that's where I'm at. I powder coated the spare tire holder black. And if you want to powder coat over powder coat, you have to prepare the material and take it down. Not necessarily to metal, but you have to scratch the surface completely to get a finish. So where we're at right now is at the phase where in a few weeks, I got one son that does drafting and very efficient in modeling and does a 3D printing. And you've seen that actually probably in this video or in the last one, the results of his work. My other son is a programmer, and he's coming down, and we're going to load up the software on the digital dash and start building the digital dash display. And that's what will go behind there. And so I'm constructing the gauges and drawing them up. We are using Tuner Studio for that, so we're drawing those up and getting those ready to go. The mounting has been completed on this. made those pieces in the mill. Everything's mounted. The relief holes are for mounting the wood braces. We are there. Got all the trim pieces made that will go on top of the wood panels. Will be bonded to the wood panels. All the reliefs for the strikers are done. Oh my, we've got a lot of things done. Those are the test panels for the spray out, and that's the final one. So we're moving forward and getting some projects out of the way. I have some jobs coming up that I have to follow up on that are customer jobs, and those need to take priority, of course, over this. So just trying to get this into a phase where it needs to be. Lastly, I know that when we watch these videos that the most popular video is the one where you see somebody fabricating or constructing and that kind of a thing. I just want everybody to understand that I'm a one-man, in this case, show, and I have limited video resources. I have that tripod that I've used. Off and on, used a microphone, that kind of stuff. But I'm building this series of videos for personal reasons, and figured if people wanted to enjoy it, they certainly can. It's not a passion of mine to be a a million subscriber person on YouTube. I don't cater specifically to those that want the how-tos, the step-by-step process. I am more interested in getting your ideas and concepts and feedback based on what I'm doing, what I have done, and if there are opportunities in there, not necessarily my methods. So this series will come to an end pretty soon, in the sense of video production, because this car will be complete. Whether I do anything after this or not, I don't know. I don't dislike doing this. I do very much enjoy the feedback, but I want to thank all of you that have participated in the whopping 100 just shy of 200 subscribers, and like 40 dedicated followers. So thank you very much for it, and I appreciate it. Again, if there are ever any comments, feel free to send them by. Okay, working on the dashboard display. Now I'll use my mouse here, but the background can change. That's just day one. I used a picture of the car when it was out in the trailer. But so far, I've got a high beam indicator, all of my gauges, they're tied to sensors. And then I got my right turn, left turn, and right turn signals lighting up. That band is my display, the display that I'm going to have behind the dash. So, of course, all of the colors can be modified, and I can get a red light warning turning on in here for over revving, and I can have a low fuel, turn on when I get down to whatever that is, 5%. And I can play with some other things, but right now I'm just in the process of getting this digital dash set up. So it is fun once you learn how to use it, but it takes a while to get there. So it's going well. Having fun with it though.